Hello
Okay,
again.
hello again. And yeah, welcome to, maybe we can make just a small introduction. Welcome to Grace Across Generational Healing. We found a beautiful title for our little conversations. I think it's very purposeful, and it suits us well because it's large and still it has the root of our encounter and why we're talking, and it's beautiful. So yeah.
That was a presentation, or you're gonna do a presentation now?
No, that was a presentation.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you wanted
No,
it to.
I like that because the first thought I had was that it is by something uh, synchronistic, magical, grace, epiphany like that I talk with you and you talk with me. And it comes at an interesting time in my life because I'll soon be 82. And so I have spent a lot of my life dealing with things like the collective unconscious and the roots of the human soul, you could say, and the origins of life, and these things that connect us all, not only to everybody else in the world, but to all time. For example, I have on my desk a little fossil. So,
Oh, yeah,
um,
that's beautiful.
and I remember some of my early dreams when oh my, yes, right. Beautiful. When I started analysis, that I had dreams of pre-human times. Well, pre-human fossils, or I won't call them fossils exactly, but we were like coming in touch with something that was from the very far past. And I do think that I do, of course, accept evolution, and I'm mystified by that is mystical about human life, or life to start with, but human life, and how in 200 million years we have become what we're doing today, that is communicating across time. We're actually doing it physically.
Yeah.
And in our dream world, we're doing it through the psyche. And I think that one of the things about psychological experience, which comes to me largely through dreams and the examination of them daily, is that I see there's some kind of, you could call it, other center of awareness in the dream world that's like another whole perspective on things. And this other whole perspective, I believe, in my experience, that it gives us hints about a different perspective on what we're experiencing. Because what we're experiencing is very limited, and it's often ego-oriented, and the ego is necessary for consciousness, but it's not. It lacks this long-term perspective of human experience, which is in our genes. We have been gathering experience all these years, and scientifically, it's in our genetic makeup and in our dreams, our deep dreams. You know. So I'd love to hear what you might be thinking.
Okay. Yes. Well, dreams are something very, in my life, very pregnant. I have a lot of dreams every night, and I remember them very clearly.
Yes.
And I've been able to discern different eras in my dreams, different patterns or type of dreams, and evolution in my own dreams through the ages, and very, very significant timelines, moments where I have really the same type of dreams, and when something occur in my own experience and my own alchemy, maybe, if we would say, because I think when we are evolving and when we are recovering from hurt or from just life passing and experience, and also sorry, I lost my word, difficulties, or obstacles or things that we overcome, our psyche is really, really I found it's fascinating because at my age, I'm almost 30, 27. I have very good memories of all those steps that I've taken, and where I can see my soul have grown and my perception of reality and have become wider and larger.
Yes.
And the dreams resonate with that and go also wider and different. And I think it's a place where effectively we meet with the human consciousness of our times and of all times. And
yes,
I feel that being connected that way can really bring you to understand better your time. And I've discerned that I had dreams also from prehistoric time, if we would say, dreams with dinosaurs and things like that.
yeah,
And
really.
yeah, when I was younger, well, I think also there was a lot of in the 90s and onwards, when we were young. I think I've seen that repeated, and people that had children in those era and that are from our generation noticed that we were all completely omnubulated and really passionate about dinosaurs. So I think that's also something generational, and about the discoveries that were made, probably because archaeologically we were able to go deeper and to find more skeletons and remains, and so effectively, it had an impact on our psyches, and because we were more books talked about it more, and we learn about it in school and everything. But also I can see, like, my experience of dreams are very, I have a lot of dreams that contain a lot of violence, and I'm not a violent person physically, and I'm not exposing myself to a lot of violence. I might have in the past through movies, because I think culturally we have a lot of induced deep violence that are put in our culture for whatever reason. Maybe we won't go there today, but there's this is recurrent. And even though I've stopped, I cut this source of not distraction, but source of culture that was very violent, I still have even though my life is pretty, I read every day. I do activities that are not violent. I cook. I study. I'm translating a book, and I'm doing things that are pretty calm. And still, my psyche tap into this collective consciousness that seemed to have a lot of violence inside, and
Mhm.
that really tells me that there's something bigger that we are in tune to when we are dreaming, and it's making me process things that I have probably not access to during my daytime, and and it's interesting. I don't feel traumatized by it. Sometimes, though, when I have a nice dream here and there, I'm grateful because it can be tiring. It can be a little. It can make you struggle a little bit. Wake up every morning with a dream that had like something dark or difficult in it. But I guess there's things happening all around the world that we have access to, and it's a way also of maybe going through these things, and maybe psychologically, or with that human consciousness, people like us that are more protected, and from this violence that occurs in the world. It's a theory, or maybe we are helping by dreaming those. We are helping those that are actually living it to process it psychologically. We are part of that collective movement to relieve a little bit of that fear and pain and all of that. So that's why and usually I have access to it in dreams that are not completely dark. The dream is somewhat normal, or things are occurring and that are interesting. But then there's one shift and one violent moment, and it can come back to something more. I usually have 3 or 4 parts in a dream. And so, it's interesting to start talking about it. I realize that when we do that type of thing, I have a lot of ideas that are coming, and interpretation or explanation that I can give. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
I was wondering, is because part of me was doing something mental, but I also had flashed before me some images. And I wonder, Jordi, as Marie was talking, did you experience some images of your own?
Yeah, I experienced images of my own dreams that have been that really express and relates to what Marie is talking about. Recently, especially, it's something that has been a little bit recurrent,
Mm-hmm.
and because I mean, as Marie says, when and I believe and I think that, well, since we are in weird times, and there's a lot of anxiety and fear and bad energy and bad vibes, even if you are not in that same frequency or that wavelength, it affects you in some sort of way. I mean, maybe it's in your dreams. um,
Yes. I'm not. Would you like to share such an image?
well, yesterday,
You don't
well,
need to.
yeah, like, well, I'm not gonna say my dreams of 2 days ago, because that was, I think that was really disturbing. But the one of yesterday was, I dreamed that I was back I have recently a lot of dreams that I'm um, um, in school again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a mix of all the schools I have been. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a mixture of all. And I was going out, and I don't know why I had with a friend a little pig, and
A little.
pig, a little
Pig.
baby pig, piglet, or
Yeah,
like
piglet.
oink oink. And when we came out of the school, a van came, and and they said like, "Oh no, you're not able to have a pig, and we are like a society that protects all the pigs, so we're taking it, we're taking him with us. Don't worry, it's gonna be safe." And then they left, but I was able to track them. I mean, I was not there. It's like if I was watching a movie. And then they put the pig in it was like a factory that it was all gray and dirty and stinky, and it was all metal. And they were
Yeah,
putting them inside a cage, and there was like this like monstrosity. It was like a pig that it was like, I don't know, 20 meters tall and super strong, that it was eating all the other pigs. And the scene was like all like gory and really graphic. And
yeah,
they were feeding like this monster with all the pigs because it was like a cannibal. And they were, I don't know why they were doing like this, I don't know, yeah, like a monster. And then they wanted that monster to fight against me, like, and I was
Oh.
gonna fight him. um, and then the dream turned somewhere else distinctly, but that was like,
mhm.
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing the
Yeah.
dream. It's rather intimate and self-disclosing, because all my dreams, I can't say what that might mean. It has to be um, lived with and thought about and used imagination with, so forth. Um, but it's very brave of you to bring a dream like that. I stopped myself from thinking I know what the dream means, and um, because I don't, it's my experience that I don't, and even my associations to the images in your dreams would not be your associations. You what that might stir up in you, but um, it's a very interesting dream. Um, very interesting. Uh, I consider it to have relevance to our times. This may not be why you dreamed it or what the dream is for you, but for me, it's very relevant to the things we were discussing before. You know, very, very relevant. What do you think, Marie, about that?
Yeah, I have a lot of um, correlation or uh,
Mhm.
connection links that I can make with the times that we're living in, and informations and things that I know, um, informations that I have, yeah, and it's really relevant to have that type of dreams. I think it can also be, if we consider that this collective consciousness that we call like that is linked to God, to what we can call God, something that is everywhere and that is the origin of life. And I think dreams could be some sort of I don't want to say a training place, but some place that uh, as well as helping others, as well as I was saying, helping others that are suffering and that are in distress, to relieve that distress, because your psyche is kind of living that uh, pain and fear with them, so it can somewhat probably relieve it a little bit for someone that is living it. It can also be a preparation time where you're facing your fear and fears that are present in the in the psyche of humanity.
Yes.
And you can not being desensitized, but being in touch with those inner deep fears that are human fears, that, you know, like the taboo of cannibalism. I was thinking about that, and um, the monsters, the you know, like something too big that we cannot face. I think monsters are something that are coming back in dreams very recurrently for me, at least, and Jordi too, because we share our dreams, not all the time, but regularly we share our dreams. And that in young children's also dreams, you have a lot of recurrence of the monster figure. That is something that is too big to overcome, yet a lot of nights we are facing those monsters and we overcome. So I think there's a very positive uh, sign or interpretation to have here, that every night we might face the monsters, and they might be the most horrendous monsters that we can ever face. Yet we always overcome, and we wake up from the dream, and we are pretty much not damaged. I mean, I think psychologically we can a dream if I think if a dream stays, to me, my routine is to write the dream and to pray over
Ooh.
it, or to, yeah, I write my dreams since a few years now.
Oh
I've
boy.
Yeah, I've always have that inclination to tell my dreams when I was younger, because I would make dreams and friends of mine would be in. So I remember arriving at school and be, oh, you were in my dream last night. You saved me from crocodiles. And, like just being super. And people were like, Marie, you always have those dreams that are really amazingly all over the place and crazy. And sometimes I could see that the dreams of others seems more calm. I don't know if that's have to do with my nature. That is really, I mean, I think a lot. I ask myself a lot of questions. I'm always I'm kind of thinking in layers, or trying to go beyond things that we can see. Like, so maybe my nature, the nature of my psyche, makes me having dreams that are very uh, adventurous, or there's a lot of things happening there.
Mm.
And but what I wanted to go with that is, yeah, writing my dream and now praying about it, or if it's something that disturbed me, I just express that I don't want that to disturb me, and I pass it on to my Lord and to to Jesus. I say, okay, this is waking up feelings in me that I don't like. I just give it to you and take care of it for me. I don't know what it means, and just let me go on through my days and through my day, without being disturbed by that dream, whatever it might be. And I've noticed that also praying before bed, specifically to ask to be protected, or not have dreams that are too bad, or has too much violence, or I don't call them nightmares anymore, because nightmares, I feel that it was when I was really young, and that I would wake up very scared by the dream, and that it was really all dark. Now it's almost like the dream is normal, and there's something dark occurring, and I can overcome it very fast, and I continue the dream, just go on. But I noticed that when I pray before bedtime, specifically for that, not just giving thanks and praying for others, but just asking the Lord to watch my dream and rebuking any dark entities that could try to just come in, or it worked pretty well, and I have a somewhat more nice dream. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any reflection on that, Jordi?
Um, well, for me, I think it's still um, you know, I mean, it doesn't change what my dreams are. I think they always are meant for a reason. So, um, I mean, I share that prayer with Marie at night, but well, so far I don't know if it's really doing something for me. But before Marie was saying that, well, I want to add that she mentioned that she was sharing her dreams with other people at school,
Mhm.
and that they were saying that she had really crazy dreams, and for me it's always been the same. Like I all my life I've had like a lot of like vivid dreams and sometimes lucid dreams that I know that I'm dreaming and I can control the direction of the dream. But that I think it's because my father encouraged me to write my dreams since really young. So
Well, since you were young.
yeah, and
Oh my goodness.
because I always tell him my dreams, and they were saying like, "Oh, you should do little stories with your dreams," and because they're really fantastic and they're have a lot of craziness.
Yeah.
And but I remember sharing it with friends, and a lot of friends telling me like, "Oh, you know, I never dream, and I never remember my dreams,"
Right.
and and well, for me, that is something interesting. I
Yeah.
don't understand. Well, because since I always dream, it's
Yeah.
really rare when I don't remember a dream.
Yeah. And did
Uh,
you also like me? I thought everybody was dreaming like that every night. I had a lot of friends dreaming also every night and having a really interesting dream. But yeah, my mother doesn't dream, for example, and I found it
yeah,
very interesting. Sorry, I
yeah,
cut
and
you.
well, yeah, and well, for me, it was like super weird because I couldn't understand. Like, oh, I mean, how can you not dream or not remember your dreams? And also, well, and one friend that he also doesn't dream, and he told me that he has a lot of deja vus and
Of what?
deja vu,
Ah, déjà vu. Yeah.
deja
Okay.
vu.
Yeah.
And I told him that I've never experienced a deja vu in my life,
Mm.
and he told me that that is because I'm really aware, but I don't know. That's
I don't
kind
know
of, I don't know. I don't know
because
if it's anything related to.
yeah, I have a lot. I have not a lot, but I have recurrently déjà vu and like almost to the point that I can predict what the person is going to
Yeah,
say in my head. I'm like, well, I've already lived that, and then that is going to happen, and it happened, and
Mm.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
And this is, I love this mystery because nobody can give a satisfying enough explanation for those deja vu. There's attempt, but I never heard
yeah.
something that was completely 100% like explaining it. I don't know if you have.
No, well, no. What I was and well, sorry, what I was going to say
Sorry,
is that the same as I don't understand people that they haven't had dreams. A lot of people don't understand that why I have never experienced that
deja vu.
deja
Yeah.
vu. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm stumped.
Hmm.
It's a good state to be in. um, Marie, on another occasion, you asked me to say something about my life, and I can do that very succinctly and say that I was a psychotherapist my whole life, um, and that included uh, the very start of my career and after my retirement. And I worked mainly with the framework of Carl Jung. But what I was leading up to is the fact that I did observe a lot of other people's dreams, like you were doing when you were when you were young. uh, and that's a lot of collective memory and experience, isn't it? It's
Yes.
uh, vast, really vast.
So yeah, what did you, that was kind of the questions that came to my mind after our precedent discussion and conversation, and I was curious about what did you learn from all the things that you've been able to analyze or just hear, and how did it affect your experience and your own access to the collective consciousness? Do you think it has do you think hearing that many dreams have influenced your dreams, to put it simply?
Oh, definitely. And you brought up you brought up, in my mind, a technical term. So I'm not going very much in this direction today or in our conversations, but it's called projective identification. And it means that, and I experienced this morning with the two of you, that while you're telling me your dreams, something's happening in my body and my psyche. I am being affected by your dream experience. And this could be a little scary. And actually, it is a little scary because as a psychotherapist, I had to learn ways in which very, let's say, violent dreams uh, upset me, given by my clients. And I both had to be open to that, and also at some level, if it got to be too much, I had to protect myself because I was going to go home that evening. what would I be, as a result of hearing a lot of trauma and a lot of sadness and grief. And those I would categorize as sort of violent, really, basically. I mean, grief is violent, it feels violent. So I was led to develop a practice to protect my heart so that I could be with the person. And while they were going into something that started to affect me, I could say, well, I am going to protect my heart, but this is only going to stop it, some of it this way. What's going to be able to go out from me in terms of love and understanding and awareness and presence is not going to be affected by this, and so the fact that we are all so connected with each other is of the greatest importance to me now. And it goes back to some of those things you said at the beginning, Marie, in which you feel that somehow in being alive and opening yourself to what's happening in your field, the field of your experience and the field of the city of Vancouver and the field of North America and the field of the world. And you're going to open yourself to what might appear for you, which might be, as you intimated, a world dream or a dream of the world, and they can certainly be violent and disturbing. But to go on with the more positive part of what you were saying, I really dig what you said that somehow or other, if I'm processing some of this stuff, that just like the collective world affects me, I also affect the collective world if I process some of it. If I come to terms with it, if it brings me to awareness, then I'm sort of lifting some of the other world into more awareness. It may be a very small world, and it may just be the person I live with, or but it has possible. If you have to look at this thing both ways. If I'm being affected, then I probably also affect, right? And that's a very creative thought in my opinion, that you've had. And there's also a little parallel to what you said about praying, because my routine is the first thing I do in the morning is write down the dreams. I don't get into the practical world. And just after I do that, I start meditation or prayer, this combination, and or both of them, I should say, both of them. And I notice that when I do my Buddhist practices or my Christian prayers, that some of the dream seeps up into me. It's like it I get something that if I weren't in that space of mind, I wouldn't get. It's often very valuable. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's you're letting yourself open to the feeling of the dream, and you're sometimes for me it's like, yeah, the dream direct me to what I have to dream about, what I have to pray about, sorry. And I'm gonna pray about something, an experience or someone that was in that dream, and lift them up in my prayers, and that way the dream is getting processed by the divine in me, and can lead me to peace and to understanding, not our own understanding, but a deeper, more divine. I like to say, I really want to say that word because it's really what it is, a divine understanding of what it is, and the reality of it, and that's in itself an alchemization of the dream, a processing of all these informations and emotions, because it's a dreams are very emotional. There's a lot of emotions processed into dreams, and so to be able to give them their just place, not let them being stuck inside, or disturbed, but put them back in that space, that divine space that can bring you to that peace, and can transform the experience into something, into a healing, prayer and process and thoughts. So it's very beautiful. It's a good, I think it's a good way of starting your day.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm very touched by what you've told me this morning. I see it as a perfect example of the theme of our talks, grace through the generational width, young and old. And,
Yeah.
it's a real manifestation of that.
Yeah, and it came to my mind while you were saying that, by doing what we're doing now, it is I like to see threads and loops, and going back to the beginning. And so it's almost like if we access those dreams that are coming from the collective, the world, we process them in our quiet times and our time with moment with God. We let them being processed in us and released and heal, or transform. And now, by what we're doing, we're going back to the world in a both psychic or psychological or soulful manner and physical manner, because we are here presently, talking about it and expressing it consciously and expressing it to other consciousness through that medium that we are using via internet. And so I think there's a beautiful loop going there, beautiful exchanges that are going back to the world. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. I had not seen our conversation and our recording process that way yet. So thank you, because it's a nice thought. It's validating in a way. I don't think we really need validation, but to me it feels even more right to do what we're doing and to share it.
I believe that. Do you have a reaction to that, Jordi?
Yeah, no, I think. Although I was thinking that at some point, maybe since it's generational healing, what would it be to have a child as a guest, or I don't know, a middle or an in immediate like a 50-year-old, like somewhere in between
In
us,
between us.
David, and have like this type of conversation. So it's really
find
find
people of different generation that are
and
alive
I
right
was
now,
thinking about that. That will be interesting.
having guests. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that will evolve somehow, because I think we have been sort of like exposed or led into an experience that's surprising all of us. It's possibilities. Mm.
Yeah, I was thinking of having a child with us talking, and that would be very interesting. That would lead the conversations completely somewhere else, and that would be that would add even more spontaneity and interesting thought. I don't know if a child, maybe not too young, but some a child that could be interested in what we're doing, and
Yeah,
that
that's
could
what
be
I was also thinking.
yeah.
That because maybe 2 hours of this for a child would be.
I think I was very
Depending,
conversational when I was young,
yeah,
and I would have loved to be able to be like taken seriously enough to be able to have an adult, or to be in an adult conversation. That, I mean, talking about dream, I've done it since I'm very young, so I don't think that would be a boring topic. And I think children are that's an interesting, I think, evolution of how we perceive the world and other human. Uh, I think, I don't know if it's recent. I have no big study about that, but I believe that children now have, and I think we already touched that subject briefly before with you, David, but children have somehow a lot of understanding and a lot of depth and a lot of sort of very intuitive knowing and knowledge, and they can share it without filters of processing and interpreting with other knowledge that, and making a mix of all of that, and they're just there, and because they have also access of that to that big consciousness collective of us, they have amazing things to teach us. And I think in the world we have seen children as almost, I don't want to say an object, but something that is not capable of its own thinking, and that really needs to be taught everything. And in some ways, practically, they have a great need of learning how to just do basic walking, talking, eating. But if you go beyond that, and if you let them express their imagination, or their connection to the world, and to psychologically, there's, if you let them express their soul, and what is their soul, people are more and more amazed by the fact that they are amazingly profound, and they have amazing things to teach us about that connection to the soul and to the consciousness, because of their young age. And so I think we've been through a moment where children were considered apart, or like lesser than adults in many ways. And we're coming to an era where this is shifting, and you have a lot of people recognizing that children have amazing, like, their fountain of wisdom and of knowledge. And I think it's beautiful that we are coming to an era where we acknowledge and we give them back a place that they more than deserve, and that we also humble ourselves so we can learn from them, and we can have this relationship that is way more equal, interesting, nurturing. And I think for the child is very important. I think one of the things that bothered me when I was young is that I felt left aside. And even though my parents were pretty integrative, I felt like our voice was not heard, or did not matter as much as an adult word, when sometimes. And I remember my grandparents, when I arrived around age 14 or something like that, before they were struck with Alzheimer, and when they were still there, I remember talking to them about the Second World War, and giving them an analysis that I had made up because of what I've had learned at high school, and books that I had read, and documentaries that I had seen, and just my own understanding. And I gave them that interpretation, or analysis, and they were blown away. I remember at that moment my grandfather shifted, and he looked at me saying, "Wow, I would have never thought about it like that. And how can you think about something like that? Like, you're very intelligent, and you're gonna go somewhere." And like, but I was 14 or something, and I was like, "Yeah, well, if you had really, like, asked me for my opinion, or what I was understanding before, maybe you would have been surprised." And so I think that's something that is key in our society, like, give back everyone a value and a place to express themselves, because every voice matter, and every understanding matter, no matter the age or the age group that we're in.
I'm very happy with what we're doing right now. Very contented. I don't mind the silence because it gives time for something else to arise, Don't mind it.
I don't mind it either.
Me neither.
Well, I could share with you a dream I had this morning, and I had not planned on that, or basically even thought of that. But you both have done something like that, And I don't know exactly what to say. I had a whole series of dreams last night, and I wake up during the night regularly to go to the bathroom. It's a quality of aging. And I just make a note of something in the dream that with that in the morning, I can recall the whole dream just with that note. It will all come back. And I suppose the growing edge of my dream this morning was something like I'm moving out of a place. It's more like a temporary place, like a conference, that I've attended. And I'm having to pack up all my things. This is very, as you say, recurrent dream for me. This theme is recurrent. And in a sense, I get it all together. There's one little surprise, and that is that in a bottle I have there, just a little plastic bottle, it has a little nipple on it, where you squirt it out, And as soon as I start to share my belongings with the people I'm going to travel with, this bottle starts leaking liquid. But my father is there. I don't dream about my father very often. And I think one of my offspring is there. And we're going to be traveling together. So that's probably enough of the dream. And so going back to what I said to you before, that you said it too, Marie. You don't need to interpret the dream. Get in there and make sense of it. Manipulate it. So, was there something that happened in you during the sharing of my dream that you feel like bringing forward?
Well, it struck me that that theme of gathering your belongings and having to bring them somewhere else, it's been a very recurrent theme in my dreams as well. Yeah. And last night, like this morning, I wake up to a dream where I was in a school in a room, in a dome room full of surrounded by windows like all in windows. And I was there with all my belongings and all packed up, and I had to be there. It was a moment of transition as well. I was living there for a moment and sleeping there for a moment, and sometimes I have that dream of having to pack everything and keep everything and transport everything, and it's not possible. And there's that theme of having to pack and having a lot of belonging. I think it's very recurring. So I don't know. I'm just thinking of the materialistic, the relatively materialistic world we live in, and the weight that it can have on one psyche. Having to manage and to to manage that amount of things and of belongings, and the importance of I like what you said about that you were having to travel with your family, with your offsprings and your father, and that Well, in your dream, it was probably, it didn't seem, we didn't say that it was a problem to have all those belongings, but sometimes for me, maybe it could be a sign of a need or a want to be free of some of that material, physical. It's not a burden, because I mean, the thing that I possess are very useful and all beautiful, and they make my life, you know, contented, because I can use those objects to create, and so that's, you know, that's a great thing. But it's interesting how this theme seems to be in your dream and in mine. So that's, I don't know if you have that also, Jordi.
of packing and
Yeah, having to handle your belongings and
um, not that I can recall
can.
right now, but yeah, I mean,
You seem very free in your dreams. You seem to do a lot. I remember the dreams you tell me are very. You go to places and you have and you meet, you interact with people, and you have, uh, but you're not. Yeah, you're not. You're not. You're not surrounded, or you're not blocked by anything. I feel that you're always going in with the flow. That's some, you know.
yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what the flow might be crazy sometimes, but I don't. I think it goes really smoothly.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit with my head now, but it comes from my heart.
Mhm.
And that is to say, I was touched by the experience in hearing both of your responses to my dream, that it was as if your psyche was talking to my psyche. And that in a way, I want to exaggerate a little bit, I didn't need a lot of stuff about interpretation because it was happening. It was happening in the moment and in relationship and in connection. And it's not surprising, Marie, that the two of us would dream about a similar theme last night. I don't dismiss that. That's because I think in what we're doing together, we are starting to affect each other, and our psyches are being connected. Um, and this is the head part of this. I feel like all those years that I spent, you could say professionally, working with other people's dreams and my dreams, that in my retirement, I've been able to come to a different position. And that position is, as we consider the mode of our exchange is sharing.
Yes.
It's not hierarchical.
Mm-mm.
It's not based on age or youth, and it's 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 talking out of the psyche. The thing you said about Jordi, you know, that also sheds light. See, for me, uh, because in a sense, I would like to be moving out like Jordi is represented as doing, moving on to the next thing. So that's just to give you an example of all this. But I I feel that this is very rewarding for me, and I feel it's an opportunity to have a different life than that of a teacher or a therapist or somebody who's in a position of being older or whatever. And I'm really touched by the experience.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And something that sprang in my mind when you were talking. First of all, it's true that it's really is really bringing a lot of things to light, what we're doing, and I really enjoyed it as well. It's really, for me, important and very. It helped me works and process, and it keeps my consciousness alert of many things. I really like the time that we're taking to bring things forward and share them in that free way, because I have a lot of beautiful, I hear God, just talking and connecting things and dealing with some of the things that I might have not completely get through. Bless you. uh, and yeah, it's every time we're exchanging like that, and we're just sharing back and forth what springs up through one is saying, it does something in me. I had a few tears coming, not of sadness, but just like something unlocking a little before, and now I have that feeling of um it's helping me dealing with things and taking steps back. I think I really need in my life that uh, projection time, that mirroring time with pairs and with other individuals, to be able to, because even though my time after writing my dreams and praying about it, or it's very beautiful, I think uh, having that third or and fourth part, and being able to project in that triangle, it's bringing it further, because I'm stepping more back, and I have other perspective on something that we are all experiencing, and I think it's really, yeah, I'm really grateful for this. I Something I would have never imagined. It's very, as you said, it's very rich and um, unusual, or unthought of. We never thought that we were going to be led there together. So it's surprisingly um, rich and transforming, um, and a learning process. But we feel it's really new in that sense of that we are both, three of us, learning in a very free manner, and it's almost like a prayer that we're doing together, and delivering things, and it's a little birth of, because something is coming out of it. We have that result of the whole conversation recorded, and there's a lot of amazing um, blossoms and springs that are coming out of it. So yeah, it's really enjoyable, and I think I don't know if I said it last time, but I talked about it with Jordi, and every time we have a conversation together on the phone, or by emails, I really feel nurtured and peaceful, and yeah, a lot of things are happening that are beyond us, beyond just ourselves, beyond the ego, that you call it.
Yes.
It's a beautiful, une bouffée d'air frais, we would say in French, a breathing of fresh air.
Yes. I love that image. The image came to me as you were talking of a stream. It's not necessarily of water, it could be of air. And that in this stream, our particles are interacting, Jordi's and yours and mine. And they were all moving on together. The stream is going. Um, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. I feel like that it would be good to share our experience today with other people. Um, I don't too much want to talk about the practicalities now. You and I could, and Jordi could talk about it later. But I feel that we've arrived at something that I would like to share. I think it would be useful.
Yes.
I think you put into words a lot of knowing, as you use the word knowing, that it could take volumes of psychological books to spell out, and then it would be sort of dry.
Yeah. You know, it's beautiful that you're saying that, because since we are in relationship, I've come into peace with the fact that I'm not a big reader of theoretical knowledge, even though I studied a little bit of philosophy, and I've read some books, and I love some, but I've always said that I'm a philosopher, but a oral one, and you know, I like to share. I like that living, because I think there's something in tune with the breath of life, and you know, the word in the Bible is a recurring word, a recurring theme expressed, and I think we have a lot of power through our tongue and our voices, power of life and death, basically, and that what we're doing right now, it's using that power towards life in a way that is very, very profound, yet very spontaneous and very light, because we express our care for each other. We express a lot of beautiful things in this, but um, through the Holy Spirit, if we can call it like this, you know, through something that is in the moment, and you know, in a kairos that is very interesting. And I don't tear down values of studying and of books and of, you know, literature. It's and of or well, literature in a large sense, you know, not
Yes,
not
I know.
just
I know what you mean.
novels. And but yeah, it's very intimate to read a book and to study it and to grasp it. But I think for me, the stimulation of and it connects with what you were saying about our particles being, you know, in a stream, and I like to see them dancing together, but you know, swirling together and being together. I think this is what, and having that validation from you, even if we are on the same level. I acknowledge that you have the age that you have more time of experience, a bigger amount of time of experience, and considered, you know, that you have been studying a lot and working a lot with other pairs also, and you know, this gives you a posture that, even though I see you as an equal, you have you bring me validation that is, you know, just, it feels good. Probably it's just for my ego, but it feels, at least it peace my mind and it peace myself of I know that when one or two, when more than one person, when two or three are, you know, gather and have conversation like that, something is happening in the spiritual realm or in the psyche realm that can convey more than, for me at least, when I'm just with the book, you know, and there's something happening that it's from the domain of grace, I would say, and that allows me to channel things that I couldn't, or and again, reading may be a beautiful material for our conversation as well, because, well, today we didn't, but we speak about our literature knowledge and you know, encounters. And it's also, I mean, someone that took, I always see reading books like that, someone that it's someone that took the time and the amazing dedication to put what he had and his understanding and his interpretation and his beauty and everything that formed him into a piece of art that took, so, you know, that took time to write. And it's a dedication, and it's so it's something that is very beautiful as well, and something is happening in the spirit when you also read. I believe that. But this living momentum, or this, you know, rich and uh, moving, in the sense of, you know, having our souls that are moving together and coming together, that for me is a superior moment of understanding and of alchemization. I really like that term, alchemization, transformation of different stream and different material that are bringing you to another level of understanding. I think both are needed, but this type of conversation that is also very unique, and that's, you know, I'm very grateful for that, is something that can be also, I agree with you, of a great value for others. So that's why I'm very blessed and very happy to share it with the world. I hope someone can find something that will touch and help him, you know, and, or, you know, bring him things, material that are of value.
And maybe then, although we won't be able to observe it, that person's particles will be in the stream that we find ourselves. I would like to end there, if we might, with what you said.
Yes, we can end there. And Jordi just came back, but yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We just decided that we're going to end there. Is that okay with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for watching. We're gonna end the recording. Let's not end completely right now. I wanted to say something off camera, so I'm just gonna end the recording
but
here.
you can say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I would like to.
You want to say something?
I'd like to take your cue and thank whoever's going to watch this for watching.
Yeah.
And see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.